The world tilted when my lips crashed into his. A collision born of chaos and a misplaced step. One moment, I was dodging a runaway coffee cart on a crowded San Francisco sidewalk. The next, I was tangled with a stranger in a navy suit. Our mouths locked in a fleeting, accidental kiss that burned like a live wire. When I pulled back, gasping, his blue eyes pierced through me, and a voice not mine, not spoken, whispered in my head, "He's not mad." My name is Eli Torres, a 24-year-old barista with a knack for tripping over life's edges. I'd been in the city for 2 years, chasing a dream of becoming a graphic novelist while slinging overpriced lattes at Bean and Beyond. That morning, I was late for my shift, weaving through the financial district's morning rush, when Fader, a poorly steered coffee car, decided to upend everything. The man I'd kissed was no ordinary stranger. He was Julian Hart, CEO of Hart Tech, the tech giant whose glass tower loomed over the city like a modern-day Olympus. And somehow, impossibly, that kiss had unlocked something in me. I could hear his thoughts. It started as a faint hum, like static from a radio I couldn't turn off. He's staring at me. Why is my pulse racing? His voice, smooth and low, echoed in my mind as he stood there, brushing off his suit with a composure that made my flushed cheeks feel like a betrayal. I stammered an apology, my heart hammering God. He's gorgeous. But I'm such an idiot, and froze when his thoughts cut through again. He's cute when he's flustered. My eyes widened. He raised an eyebrow, like he knew I'd heard something I shouldn't have. "Are you okay?" Julian asked, his voice calm but laced with something sharper, like he was testing me. I nodded, mute, my brain scrambling to process the fact that I was hearing his thoughts. He's not running away. Interesting. I wanted to bolt, but my legs wouldn't move. Instead, I mumbled something about being late and fled, his gaze burning into my back as his thoughts trailed after me. I hope I see him again. By the time I reached the coffee shop, my hands were shaking as I tied on my apron. My coworker, Maya, a punk rock poet with a nose ring and zero filter, noticed immediately. "Eli, you look like you just saw a ghost. Or kissed one." I laughed it off, but the memory of Julian's lips, firm, warm, electric, kept replaying, along with his thoughts. He's cute when he's flustered. Did he mean that? And why could I hear it? The rest of my shift was a blur of espresso shots and forced smiles. But Julian's voice lingered in my head, uninvited. I should have asked his name. I froze mid-pour, milk splashing over the counter. Maya raised an eyebrow. "Okay, spill. What's got you so spooked?" I couldn't tell her. "How do you explain that you accidentally kissed a CEO and now you're eavesdropping on his brain?" That night, I lay in my tiny Mission District apartment, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of it. Was it a fluke? A hallucination? I'd always been a little weird sensitive to vibes, good at reading people, but this was next level. I closed my eyes, willing the strange connection to fade. But instead, I heard him again. Why can't I stop thinking about him? My heart raced, and I sat bolt upright. He was thinking about me. Right now. The next morning, I was back at Bean and Beyond, bleary-eyed but determined to act normal. The shop was packed, the usual mix of tech bros and artists fueling up for the day. I was steaming milk when the door chimed, and there he was, Julian Hart, in another flawless suit, his presence sucking the air out of the room. Our eyes met, and his thoughts hit me like a wave. There he is. God, he's even better in daylight. My hands fumbled the milk pitcher, and Maya shot me a look that said she was onto me. Medium flat white. "Please," Julian said, his voice smooth as whiskey. I nodded, avoiding his gaze, but his thoughts kept coming. He's nervous. I like that. My cheeks burned as I scribbled his order on a cup. How was I supposed to function when I could hear every flutter of his interest? And why was my own heart racing in response? As I handed him his coffee, our fingers brushed, and a jolt ran through minute just attraction. But something deeper, like a circuit completing. His thoughts shifted. What is it about him? I need to know more. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. Enjoy your coffee. I managed, my voice barely steady. He lingered at the counter, his eyes searching mine. I didn't catch your name yesterday, he said, and I swear I heard. I've been thinking about you all night. My mouth went dry. Eli, I said, barely above a whisper. Julian, he replied, though I already knew. His smile was small, knowing, like he was holding a secret I hadn't figured out yet. Eli, I like that name. I turned away, pretending to clean the espresso machine. But my heart was a drumbeat. This wasn't just a crush. This was something bigger. Something I didn't understand, and it terrified me as much as it thrilled me. Over the next few days, Julian became a regular. Every morning, he ordered the same flat white. And every time, his thoughts spilled into my head, curious, intrigued, sometimes teasing. He's avoiding my eyes again. Does he feel this too? I did. God, I did. But I didn't know how to handle it. I was a barista with a sketchbook full of half-finished comics. And he was a CEO who probably had a penthouse and a private jet. Plus, there was the small matter of me hearing his every thought. How do you date someone when you know exactly what they're thinking? By the 5th day, I was a wreck. Maya cornered me during a lull. Okay, Mr. Hard eyes. What's the deal with you and Mr. Fancy suit? I deflected, but she wasn't having it. You're blushing every time he walks in. Spill. I couldn't. Not yet. Not when I didn't even understand it myself. That afternoon, Julian lingered longer than usual, sipping his coffee at a corner table, his eyes flicking toward me. I should ask him out. But what if he's not? His thought trailed off, but I caught the hesitation. He wasn't sure if I was into guys. I wanted to scream that I was, that I'd been half in love with him since that stupid kiss, but fear glued my mouth shut. Then, as he left, he slid a business card across the counter. In case you ever want to talk, he said, his voice low. Please call me Eli. My heart stopped. I clutched the card like it was a lifeline, his number burning into my palm. As the door closed behind him, I realized two things. I was falling for Julian Hart, and this mind-reading thing was about to change everything. That night, I stared at Julian's business card like it held the secrets of the universe. The sleek black cardstock, embossed with Julian Hart, CEO, Hart Tech, felt too heavy for my cluttered desk, surrounded by sketch pads and empty ramen bowls. His thoughts echoed in my mind. Please call me Eli. I wanted to. Every fiber of me screamed to dial the number. But what do you say to a man whose thoughts you can hear? Hey, I know you think I'm cute, but also, I'm basically a telepath now. I didn't call. Instead, I spent the night sketching, trying to drown out the chaos in my head. My latest comica-gritty tale of a vigilante with a cursed gift felt too close to home. By 2 a.m., my hands were smudged with charcoal, and Julian's thoughts had quieted, like a radio signal fading with distance. Maybe it was a proximity thing. Maybe I was losing my mind. The next morning, I dragged myself to Bean and Beyond, bleary-eyed and jumpy. Maya was already there, blasting her punk playlist through the shop speakers. You look like death, she said, tossing me a rag. Late night with Mr. CEO. I shot her a glare, but my heart wasn't in it. Julian's absence at the morning rush felt like a punch. Did I scare him off? I wondered, then cursed myself for caring. But at noon, he walked in. Same suit, same piercing gaze, same flat white order. His thoughts hit me like a tidal wave. He didn't call. Maybe I misread him. My stomach twisted. I busied myself with the espresso machine, avoiding his eyes. But his thoughts kept coming. He's nervous again. God, It's endearing. My hands shook as I steamed his milk, and when I handed him his coffee, our fingers brushed again. That jolt returned, stronger this time, like a spark jumping a circuit. He feels it too. I know he does. Thanks, Eli, he said, his voice soft but deliberate. Call me. Please. I nodded, my throat tight, and watched him leave, his broad shoulders cutting through the crowd. Maya sidled up, smirking. You're gonna combust if you keep looking at him like that. I mumbled something incoherent and fled to the back, where I leaned against the wall, clutching his card in my pocket. I had to do something. This wasn't just attraction, it was a connection I couldn't explain, and it was driving me insane. That evening, after my shift, I sat on a bench in Dolores Park, staring at my phone. The city buzzed around me, kids laughing, dogs chasing frisbees, couples sprawled on blankets, but I was stuck in my head. What if he's not serious? What if this mind-reading thing freaks him out? I didn't even know if he was gay, bi, or just curious. But his thoughts, they were so clear, so warm. He's cute when he's flustered. I groaned, running a hand through my hair. I had to call him. If I didn't, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering. I dialed before I could overthink it. The phone rang twice. Then his voice smooth, steady, real. Eli, he said, and I heard his thought. He called. Thank God. My heart raced, and I knew he felt it, because his next thought was, his pulse is racing. He's nervous. Good. I swallowed hard. Hi, Julian, I said, my voice shaky. Got your card. I'm glad you called, he replied, and I could hear his smile. I was starting to think you wouldn't. We talked for an hour about nothing and everything. The city, my comics, his work. He didn't mention the kiss, and neither did I, but his thoughts filled in the gaps. I want to see him again. Soon. By the time we hung up, I was dizzy, my heart a mess of hope and fear. The next few days were a blur of texts and stolen glances at the coffee shop. Julian's thoughts grew bolder, more intimate. I wonder what he looks like when he laughs. Really laughs. I started sketching him in my notebook, his sharp jawline, his steady hands, then tore out the pages, terrified he'd somehow know. But the mind reading wasn't one-sided anymore. Sometimes, I'd catch him staring, and his thoughts would shift, like he was reacting to my feelings. His heart's racing again. Is it because of me? It was. Every time. On Friday, he asked me to meet him outside Heart Tech after my shift. I arrived at the gleaming tower, nerves jangling, my denim jacket feeling painfully out of place among the suits. Julian was waiting by the entrance, his tie loosened, his smile unguarded. He's here. He actually came. I grinned, unable to help it. Hey, I said, shoving my hands in my pockets. Hey, he replied, stepping closer. He's nervous, but he's not running. We walked to a nearby food truck, grabbing tacos and sitting on a curb like teenagers. The conversation flowed comics, music, his surprisingly nerdy love for sci-fi novels. His thoughts were a constant undercurrent. He's so easy to talk to. Why does this feel so right? I wanted to tell him about the mind reading, but every time I opened my mouth, fear stopped me. As the night grew cooler, we wandered toward the Embarcadero, the bay glittering under the moonlight. He stopped by the water, his expression serious. Eli, he said, his voice low, there's something about you. I can't explain it, but I feel connected to you. I've never felt this before. Not like this. My breath caught. He was so close, his warmth cutting through the chill. I wanted to kiss him again, not an accident this time, but for real. But his next thought stopped me cold. What if he doesn't feel the same? I did. I felt everything. But how do you tell someone you're hearing their heart's secrets? I froze, the weight of it all crashing down. Julian, I started, but my voice broke. His eyes softened, and he reached for my hand, his touch steadying me. He's scared. I'll wait. My heart pounded, and I knew he felt it, because his grip tightened, and his thoughts whispered, I'm not going anywhere. The night by the Embarcadero left me reeling. Julian's hand in mine, his thoughts a quiet hum of patience and want, felt like a promise I wasn't ready to trust. I'll wait. Those words, unspoken but clear in my mind, kept me awake, staring at the cracked ceiling of my apartment. I was falling for him, but the mind reading complicated everything. What if he found out? What if it scared him away? The next morning at Bean and Beyond, I was a mess. Maya caught me staring into space, a latte overflowing in my hand. Eli, you're gonna flood the place, she teased, grabbing the pitcher. What's up with you? You've been weird all week. I wanted to tell her. But how do you explain something this insane? I kissed a guy, and now I'm a telepath. And oh yeah, he's a billionaire CEO. Instead, I shrugged and mumbled about lack of sleep. Julian didn't show up that day. His absence felt like a missing pulse, and his thoughts were silent, too far to reach. I hated how much it bothered me. By noon, I was checking my phone obsessively, hoping for a text. Nothing. Did I push too hard? I wondered, then cursed myself for caring so much. But late that afternoon, my phone buzzed, dinner tonight. My place. 7 p.m. My heart leapt, and I typed back a quick yes before I could overthink it. His penthouse was exactly what I'd imagined, sleek, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Julian opened the door in a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking unfairly good. He's here. God, he looks nervous. I forced a smile, clutching a bottle of cheap wine I'd grabbed on impulse. Brought this, I said, feeling like a kid playing dress-up. He laughed, taking the bottle. Perfect. I'm cooking. He's adorable when he's awkward. The domesticity of it, Julian stirring a pot of pasta. The smell of garlic and basil filling the air felt surreal. We ate at his dining table, the city lights sprawling below us, and talked like we'd known each other forever. His thoughts were a soft undercurrent. I could get used to this. So could I? But as the night went on, the weight of my secret grew heavier. Every time his thoughts brushed against mine, I want to kiss him again, my heart raced. And I knew he felt it. His eyes would flicker, a question unspoken. Finally, over dessert, he leaned forward, his voice low. Eli, what's going on? You're different tonight. He's holding something back. I can feel it. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. This was the moment to tell him. But fear clawed at me. What if he thought I was crazy? What if he walked away? It's nothing. I lied. But his thoughts cut through. He's lying. Why? I stood abruptly, muttering something about needing air, and fled to his balcony. The city stretched out below, indifferent to my panic. He followed me, his presence steady but insistent. Eli, talk to me. I don't want to scare him, but I need to know. I gripped the railing, my knuckles white. The truth was a wildfire, burning through my resolve. Julian. I stopped, my voice cracking. Just tell him. His thought was gentle, encouraging, and it broke me. I can hear your thoughts. I blurted. Since the kiss. I don't know how or why, but I can hear what you're thinking. Every time you're near me, it's like I'm inside your head. Silence. His face was unreadable, and for the first time, his thoughts were quiet. My stomach dropped. I know it sounds crazy. I rushed on. But it's real. I heard you think I'm cute, that you want to kiss me again, that you're scared I don't feel the same. But I do. I feel everything. He stared at me, his blue eyes searching. Then, slowly, he stepped closer. He's telling the truth. I don't know how, but I believe him. My breath hitched. You're not running, I whispered. Why would I? He said, his voice soft. I've never felt this connected to anyone. He reached for my hand, his touch grounding me. This is a lot, but I'm not going anywhere. Then he smiled, and his thought was clear. I want to kiss him. For real this time. Before I could process it, he leaned in, and our lips met, not an accident, but deliberate, warm, and full of promise. The world fell away, and for once, his thoughts and mine felt like one. The kiss on Julian's balcony changed everything. It wasn't just the heat of his lips or the way his hands steadied, it was the silence that followed. For the first time since the accidental kiss, his thoughts didn't flood my mind. It was just us, real and raw, no secrets between us. But as I pulled back, my heart racing, a new fear crept in. What now? We sat on his couch, the city lights casting shadows across his face. So, he said, his voice careful, you can hear everything I think. Is he hearing this right now? I nodded, my cheeks burning. He laughed, a low, warm sound. That explains a lot. That's why you kept blushing at the coffee shop, he said, his eyes twinkling. He's adorable when he's embarrassed. It's not exactly a superpower, I muttered. More like a curse. I told him how it started, the kiss, the static, the way his thoughts followed me home. He listened, his expression shifting from curiosity to something softer, deeper. He's been carrying this alone. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He asked. I thought you'd think I was crazy, I admitted. Or that you'd leave. His thought was immediate. I'm not leaving. He reached for my hand, his thumb brushing my knuckles. We'll figure this out together, he said. I want this. I want him. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Julian and I saw each other every chance we got: dinners, late-night walks, quiet moments in his penthouse. The mind reading didn't stop, but it got easier to manage, like tuning a radio to one station. His thoughts were a mix of affection and curiosity. I love how his eyes light up when he talks about his comics. I wonder what he's hearing right now. Sometimes, I'd catch him testing me, thinking something ridiculous: I am craving pickles and ice cream, just to see if I'd react. I'd laugh, and he'd grin, and for a moment, it felt normal. But it wasn't all easy. The world outside our bubble was harsh. Julian was a public figure, and Heart Tech was under scrutiny after a data breach scandal. Paparazzi started lurking outside Bean and beyond, snapping photos of me and Julian together. Who's the barista with Julian Hart? Screamed one headline. My stomach churned every time I saw it. What if they find out about the mind reading? I thought. And Julian's hand would find mine. His thoughts steady. Let them talk. I'm not hiding you. Maya, of course, was relentless. You're dating a CEO, and you didn't tell me, she said, smacking my arm. Spill. Eli. Is he as dreamy as he looks? I dodged her questions, but she wasn't wrong. Julian was everything: kind, sharp, infuriatingly charming. But the mind reading made it complicated. I knew when he was stressed about work, another board meeting. They're circling like vultures. When he doubted himself, am I moving too fast with him? And when he wanted me, God, I want to kiss him right now. It was intimate, overwhelming, and sometimes too much. One night, after a long day at the shop, I met Julian at a quiet jazz bar in the Mission. He was in a dark sweater, less CEO and more human. We sat in a corner booth, his knee brushing mine under the table. He looks tired. I wish I could fix it. His thought caught me off guard, and I reached for his hand. I'm okay, I said, answering the unspoken. He smiled, but his next thought was heavier. I'm falling for him. But what if this gift, this curse, changes everything? I froze. He was right. The mind reading wasn't just a quirk. It was a wedge between us. A A reminder that I knew too much. Julian, I said, my voice low. Do you ever wish I couldn't hear you? He looked startled, then thoughtful. He's scared I'll say yes. No, he said firmly. It's part of you. And I want all of you. Even the parts that scare me. His words should have reassured me. But they didn't. Because I was starting to hear more, not just his thoughts, but faint whispers from others. A customer at the shop, God, this coffee's overpriced. A stranger on the street, I'm late for my meeting. It was like the kiss had unlocked something bigger. Something I couldn't control. And I hadn't told Julian. Not yet. The new voices in my head were a problem. It wasn't just Julian, any more random thoughts from strangers crept in. A cacophony I couldn't shut out. At Bean and Beyond, I'd catch fragments from customers. I hate my boss. She's cheating on me. Why's this guy staring? It was exhausting. Like living in a crowded room with no doors. I hadn't told Julian, but he noticed something was off. He's quieter today. Is it me? His thoughts only made me feel worse. I started avoiding crowded places, sticking to quiet shifts at the shop or my apartment. But Julian was persistent. He'd show up with takeout, or we'd drive out to Ocean Beach, sitting on the hood of his car, watching the waves. Those moments were a reprieve. His thoughts were familiar, grounding. He's beautiful when he's lost in thought. But the other voices followed me, growing louder, more intrusive. One evening, at a charity gala Julian convinced me to attend. It hit critical mass. The ballroom was packed with San Francisco's elite, all glitter and champagne. I felt out of place in my borrowed suit, clinging to Julian's arm. He's nervous. I shouldn't have pushed him to come. His thoughts were a lifeline. But the room was a storm of voices. She's wearing last season's Dior. I need another drink. Who's Hart's new boy toy? I gripped my glass, my head pounding. Eli, you okay? Julian whispered, his hand on my lower back. He's pale. What's wrong? I forced a smile, but a woman's thought cut through. He doesn't belong here. I flinched, and Julian's eyes narrowed. Let's get some air, he said, guiding me to a balcony. The cool night air helped, but the voices lingered, fainter but relentless. I'm fine. I lied, but his thoughts were sharp. He's not fine. He's hiding something. I wanted to tell him, but the words stuck. How do you admit you're losing control? Instead, I leaned into him, his warmth anchoring me. I'm just overwhelmed, I said. I want to protect him. His thought was so clear it hurt. The next day, I did something reckless. I researched online forums, obscure blogs, anything about sudden telepathy. Most of it was nonsense conspiracy theories, new age ramblings, but one post on an X thread caught my eye. Some say a kiss can awaken latent gifts. Rare, but real. My heart raced. Was the kiss a trigger? I kept digging, finding stories of people overwhelmed by others' thoughts, some driven to isolation. I didn't want that to be me. I told Julian that night, over pizza in his penthouse. It's not just you anymore, I admitted, my voice shaking. I'm hearing other people. Strangers. It's too much. He's scared. I hate this. He pulled me close, his arms a shield. We'll find answers, he said. I won't let him face this alone. His resolve steadied me, but doubt lingered. What if there were no answers? We started experimenting. Julian would think specific things, random words. Song lyrics to see if I could filter the noise. It helped, but only a little. The voices were louder in crowds, softer when I was alone with him. One night, he suggested meditation, guiding me through breathing exercises on his living room floor. Focus on me. Just me. His voice, spoken in thought, became my anchor. For a moment, the other voices faded, and it was just us. But the world didn't stop turning. Heart Tech's scandal was escalating, and Julian was under pressure. They want me to step down. I heard it before he said it, and my heart sank. You don't have to tell me, I said quietly. I heard. His face fell, and for the first time, his thoughts were guarded. I don't want him to see me like this. It stung, but I understood. He was human, not just the confident CEO I'd fallen for. That night, as we lay in his bed, his arms around me, I realized something. I wasn't just hearing his thoughts, I was feeling them. His fear, his love, his hope. And he was feeling mine. The kiss had linked us, not just through thoughts, but through something deeper. I love him, he thought, and my heart stopped. I turned to face him, my eyes wet. I love you too, I whispered, answering the unspoken. His smile was everything. Loving Julian was like holding lightning, beautiful, dangerous, impossible to contain. His thoughts were a constant pulse in my mind, but so were the others, a relentless tide I couldn't escape. I love him. His words, thought and felt, kept me grounded, but the world was closing in. Hearttech's scandal was front-page news, and the paparazzi were ruthless, camped outside my apartment, shouting questions about the CEO's boyfriend. He doesn't deserve this. Julian's thought cut deeper than the headlines. I started skipping shifts at Bean and Beyond, unable to handle the voices in the crowded shop. Maya was worried, leaving voicemails I didn't answer. Eli, what's going on? Call me. Julian was my only refuge. But even with him, I was fraying. He's slipping away. His thought broke my heart, because he wasn't wrong. The mind reading was consuming me, and I didn't know how to stop it. One night, Julian took me to a cabin in Marin County, a quiet escape from the city. The woods were silent, the voices muted, and for the first time in weeks, I could breathe. We sat by a fire, his arm around me, his thoughts soft. I just want him to be okay. I leaned into him, desperate to hold on to this moment. I'm trying, I whispered, answering the unspoken. He kissed my forehead, his thoughts a vow. I'll find a way to help him. He did. The next day, he introduced me to Dr. Lena Chun, a neuroscientist at Hearttech who studied anomalous cognition. She's discreet, Julian said. I trust her. Lena was sharp, no nonsense, with a warm smile that put me at ease. I told her everything: the kiss, the voices, the overwhelm. She ran tests, scanning my brain while I listened to Julian's thoughts. I hope this works. Her findings were inconclusive but promising. My brain showed unusual activity, like a network overdrive. It's like your mind's tuned to a frequency most people can't access, she said. The kiss might have been a catalyst. Lena suggested cognitive exercises to filter the noise, like mental firewalls. It wasn't a cure, but it was a start. Julian sat through every session, his thoughts a steady anchor. He's stronger than he thinks. Slowly, I learned to focus, to hear only him when I wanted to. But the effort was draining, and the voices still slipped through, especially when I was stressed. Back in the city, the scandal reached a boiling point. A whistleblower claimed Hearttech's breach was an inside job, and Julian was called to testify before a congressional committee. They're going to crucify me. His thought was raw, vulnerable, and I hated that I couldn't protect him. The night before his testimony, we lay in his penthouse, the city a distant hum. You don't have to go through this alone, I said, my hand on his chest. He's my rock. His thought made my throat tight. I love you, he said aloud, his voice steady. And I'm terrified of losing him. I kissed him, pouring everything into it: me fear, my love, my hope. The voices faded, and for a moment, it was just us. But the next day, as he left for D.C., his thoughts were heavy. What if I can't come back to him? I watched the hearing on TV, my heart in my throat. Julian was calm, composed, but I heard the truth. I'm scared. The questions were brutal, accusing him of negligence, fraud. I wanted to scream at the screen, to tell them he was the best man I knew. When he returned, exhausted but cleared of wrongdoing, I ran to him, burying my face in his chest. He's here. He's mine. His thought was a lifeline, and I clung to it. But the relief was short-lived. The voices were getting worse, and I was losing control. One night, at a crowded bar with Julian, a stranger's thought hit me like a blade. He's using the CEO for money. I froze, my drink slipping from my hand. Julian caught it, his eyes worried. What did he hear? I couldn't tell him. Not when I was starting to believe it myself. The stranger's thoughts using the CEO for money clung to me like damp rot. It wasn't true, but it echoed my deepest fear, that I didn't belong in Julian's world, that I was a liability. The voices were relentless now, a chorus of judgment from strangers, co-workers, even Maya. He's changed. He's hiding something. I couldn't shut them out, and they fed my doubts, whispering that Julian deserved better, someone who wasn't falling apart. I pulled away. Not physically, I still saw Julian, still kissed him, still loved him, but emotionally, I built walls. He noticed. Of course. He's distant. Did I do something? His thoughts hurt more than the others, because they were laced with love. I wanted to tell him everything, but shame stopped me. How do you admit you're drowning in someone else's head? One night, I snapped. We were at his penthouse, watching a movie, when the voices surged random, cruel, overwhelming. He's too good for that barista. What's he hiding? He's a fraud. I stood, my hands shaking, and muttered an excuse about needing to go. Julian grabbed my wrist, his eyes desperate. Eli, stop running. Talk to me. I can't lose him. I can't do this, I said, my voice breaking. It's too much, the voices. The world. Us. I gestured between us, my chest tight. I'm hearing everyone now. Julian. Not just you. And they think I'm not good enough for you. He's enough. He's everything. His thought was a knife, twisting deeper because I didn't believe it. He pulled me close, his hands framing my face. I don't care what they think, he said fiercely. I love you. We'll fix this. I'll do anything for him. But I shook my head, tears falling. What if I can't be fixed? I whispered. His thoughts were silent for once, and that scared me more than anything. I left, ignoring his pleas. His thoughts chasing me. Come back. Eli. Please. For days, I hid in my apartment, ignoring his texts, Maya's calls, the world. The voices were a storm now, and I was lost in it. But one night, a new thought broke through, clear and strong. I'm not giving up on you. It was Julian, outside my door. I opened it, and he was there, rain-soaked, eyes raw. I love you. Let me help. I broke down, telling him everything of voices, the doubts, the fear I'd ruin him. He listened, holding me, his thoughts a steady rhythm. We're in this together. He took me to Lena again, who had a new theory. The mind reading was tied to my emotions, amplified by stress. You need to anchor yourself, she said. Focus on what grounds you. Julian was my anchor. We worked together, meditation, exercises, quiet moments where I learned to hear only him. Slowly, the voices faded. Not gone, but manageable. One night, on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, Julian took my hand. Marry me, he said, his voice steady, his thoughts clear. I want forever with him. My heart raced, and he smiled, hearing it. Yes, I whispered, and we kissed, the world silent except for us. The voices never fully left, but they became a hum, not a storm. Julian stepped down from Heart Tech, choosing a quieter life with me. We moved to a small house by the sea, where I drew comics and he wrote sci-fi novels. The world still judged, but we didn't care. Our love messy, impossible, extraordinary was enough. And every time my heart raced for him, he knew, and he loved me more for it.